Two just absolute giants of ultra running, Kilian Jornet and Jim Walmsley. They're rarely actually seen together, right? But picture them, like, sharing a couch, giving us their deepest insights into this sport they've basically redefined.
These guys are legends. We're talking about people who haven't just, won the world's toughest races, UTMB, Western States, the big ones.
Right, the huge ones.
But they've really fundamentally shaped what ultra running is today.
You're going to hear about how their backgrounds are just wildly different, and their training ideas, their mental game, and how all that somehow comes together on the world stage to make them, well, them. It's pretty compelling how these two really distinct paths led them to the same, peak.
It really is. And it shows, I think, that there's no single way to become elite in this sport. It really highlights the adaptability you need.
Not just physically, right?
No, exactly. Adaptability and finding and really mastering new environments, different types of challenges, if you want to compete at that absolute highest level.
They are so different. Kilian Jornet. His upbringing sounds like something out of, I don't know, an adventure story.
Totally. Born and raised right in the mountains. His parents were mountain guides, ski patrollers. For him, running, skiing, it was always just like an excuse to be in the mountain. That's his quote. So that competitive drive, it was just innate. Part of his environment from day one.
Which is such a stark contrast to Jim Walmsley. His path was much more traditional.
Very traditional running path, fast high school runner, collegiate runner at the Air Force Academy. Initially, all focus was on shorter distances, road running. Completely different world.
So how did Jim even get into trail running? There's a story there, right? That race in Montana.
The Don't Fence Me In race. It's a great story. He signed up for the 12K, and he was kind of joking, apparently, thinking, the 30K was too long. He figured all the fast guys, like from track, would do the short race.
Right, the speedsters stick together.
Exactly. So he runs the 12K, mostly alone, and then finds out afterwards that all the fun, all the competition was actually happening in the 30K. And that was it. That was the spark. He realized, okay, this is where the spirit of it is. These longer, tougher trail races.
That's fascinating. So both end up drawn to the mountains, but Jim had to actively, seek that immersion later on.
Right. He made a huge move, went to France a couple of years back, Arish Beaufort specifically.
To really soak it all in.
To completely immerse himself. Not just running, but learning ski mountaineering, doing uphill races, the whole mountain culture.
And he talks about needing beginner bumpers.
He jokes about that. Bowling, because unlike Kilian or the locals who grew up doing this stuff, Jim had to be way more cautious starting out with things like technical downhill skiing or mountaineering. He says it's fun, a good challenge, but he absolutely has to respect his own boundaries. His experience just isn't the same.
That adaptability, though, and that sort of humility, even for an elite guy like him.
It says a lot about his dedication, doesn't it? Really committing to understanding the whole mountain sports picture.
Okay, so that brings us to the big races, the pinnacles. Both Kilian and Jim agree, right? Western States and UTMB are the top two.
They call them the two most competitive ultras globally. That's where you find the highest density of elite talent year after year.
They really are the main stages. Western States, especially in the US, is seen as the pinnacle, right? Lots of media, sponsor focus.
Definitely. And it has that clear path for elites with the golden tickets. Win one of those qualifying races, you get your spot. It's a coveted thing.
Kilian's first time at Western States. Legendary for mistakes, apparently. What was the deal with the river crossings?
Oh, it's a classic. Even for Kilian, he basically assumed, okay, lots of river crossings. I don't need to carry much water between aid stations. Big oops. A very big mistake, as he says. Brutal lesson, especially in the California heat. He laughs about it now, but you can just imagine.
But his perspective on the course itself is interesting, too. He calls it kind of flat.
Which is wild, right? Because it has climbing. But he means overall, maybe compared to alpine races, around 5,000 meters of elevation. He breaks it down, the canyons, then it gets flatter, faster from Forest Hill onwards.
So a first fast race.
That's his term, meaning you're basically running all the time, not really hiking much like in some other big mountain ultras.
Okay, so that kind of flat view really highlights the background difference. For Jim, then, UTMB was his big learning curve, his equivalent struggle.
Absolutely. His first UTMB in 2017, he just calls it a mess. First time running through the night properly in a race. He really struggled with all the mandatory gear, the pack, the poles, the headlight.
Stuff he wasn't used to from U.S. racing.
Exactly. It was all foreign compared to the lighter, faster style he was used to. He actually compares it directly to Kilian's first Western States attempt. Shows even the best have those tough learning moments in new environments.
And it took him a while to crack UTMB, didn't it? 5 attempts.
5 tries to get that win, which just shows how incredibly difficult it is to adapt to that European mountain style, especially beating the locals who grew up on that terrain. That persistence is something else.
Really inspiring.
It is, and Killian himself points that out. He said, Jim's dedication actually moving to France, changing his whole training approach, was truly remarkable. It wasn't just showing up to race, it was a deep, committed effort to evolve.
So if we boil down the key differences between Western states and UTMB, what are we looking at strategically?
Well, Western states, like we said, it encourages that lighter, faster, more aggressive running. No mandatory gear, really pushing the pace.
Right. UTMB, generally seen as bigger globally, has its own elite scoring system, and it demands a totally different mindset. It's much more about patience.
Patience? How so?
Hours of hiking, often on really technical ground, and you have to carry that mandatory gear, which affects your tactics, your weight, everything.
And Killian noted Jim's impact on Western states, too.
He really emphasized that. So Jim's super fast early Western states performances significantly impacted how everyone else started approaching fast 100-milers. He basically showed people what was possible speed-wise, pushing the tactics forward.
It's incredible how one person's race can send ripples through the whole sport. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. The sport itself, ultra running. It's changed massively, hasn't it?
Oh, so much in the last 15 years, they both say. Especially the knowledge base, Nutrition, hydration, training science, it's exploded.
But what about the core spirit? Has that changed too?
That's the interesting thing. They both feel that amidst all the professionalization, the money, the brands, the actual core spirit remains pretty constant.
That fundamental love for being outdoors, the personal challenge, connecting with nature, respecting the trails, that seems to endure, which is honestly quite reassuring.
It is, and they see the growth, the professionalization as mostly positive.
Generally, yes. More money, more brands, more teams. They see it as encouraging more people to get outdoors, connect with nature, value trail access.
And Killian's role in that, he's seen as a real pioneer.
A super pioneer, actually. In professionalizing the sport, creating pathways for athletes like Jim to actually make a career out of this.
And it's not just about the mega races like UTMB and Western states, is it? The sport seems big enough for different scale.
Exactly. It supports those huge international events and the smaller local grassroots races. That diversity is really important, keeps the sport accessible, and offers different kinds of experiences.
Which brings us to the athletes. Aging. Aging is real, they admit. But then you have guys like Ludo still competing hard at 50.
Ludo Pomeroy is a huge inspiration. The message seems to be, as long as you have the motivation, the goals, and you train smart, especially mentally smart, then retirement isn't really a thing you aim for in ultra running.
But there's also a youth movement happening.
Definitely. More young athletes are coming directly into trail running now. It's their primary sport from the get-go, not something they switch to later from track or roads.
Why is that happening now?
Various factors. Things like trail running actually being taught in some European schools, growing awareness in the U.S. college system too. It's becoming a more visible, appealing alternative career path to traditional running.
So you end up with this higher density of talent, both young guns and experienced vets.
Exactly. The competitive field is just getting deeper and deeper across the board, which, pushes everyone to raise their game, makes winning harder, margins smaller.
And the performance levels are just staggering now. Jim's background alone, a 2.15 marathoner, sub-30 10K runner.
It really highlights the athletic caliber we're seeing. But Killian makes a crucial point here.
Which is
that raw speed from roads or track doesn't automatically translate to mountain strength. Specificity is key.
Right, different demands.
Totally. He mentions examples like really technical mountain specialists, Nadir Maguette, Maud Mathis, who are incredible off-road, but maybe not as dominant on flat, runnable sections. Then you have all-rounders like Jonathan Albon, who seem to excel across different terrains.
So it's not just about the engine, it's about the specific skills.
Precisely. And Jim added another interesting point about training metrics. Americans often count miles, distance, whereas Europeans, and actually many endurance sports globally, tend to focus more on time.
And he sees that as a potential disadvantage for Americans.
Potentially. Especially on varied technical terrain, where covering, say, 10 miles might take way longer than you'd expect based on road running. Counting by time might give a better sense of the actual effort and duration required, avoiding undertraining for the sheer time on feet demands of these long ultras.
That's a really interesting cultural difference in training philosophy. Okay, beyond the physical stuff, let's talk mindset. Strategies have evolved too, right? Fewer races, higher intensity.
Big shift there. It used to be more common for elites to run lots of races in a year, maybe at 70% effort.
What does that 70% effort really mean in practice?
Means maybe holding back slightly on race day, not digging absolutely to the bottom of the well. The goal was often consistent performance across the season and, crucially, faster recovery so you could race frequently.
Okay, versus now.
Now, it's often far fewer races per year, but each one is 100% all in,
Correct.
which means longer, more focused build-up periods, really pushing the limits in training, and a race day strategy aimed purely at peak performance, not necessarily quick recovery for the next race soon after. It's a different annual structure.
And that 100% effort, it must make the mental battle even tougher. They both acknowledge bad patches are almost inevitable in ultras.
You don't have a bad moment. That's the rare exception, not the rule. The real challenge, they say, is mental. Just keep pushing, believing that it will become better.
Kilian had high praise for Jim's ability to handle those low points.
He did. He called Jim's ability to just keep going, even when clearly suffering a very good zombie mode. Not completely falling apart, just enduring.
That resilience,
Yeah.
ability to just keep moving forward when everything screams stop.
That's often what separates the very best. Accepting the low point will come and having the mental tools, the belief, to push through it without derailing the whole race.
Which surely connects to having strong support. The power of partnership seems huge here.
Absolutely critical. Both of them really emphasize this. Jim's partner, Emily Hawgood, is a fantastic mountain runner herself. They just had their third child, too.
Wow.
And Kilian also stressed how vital a supportive partner is. Someone who understands the huge time commitment, the ups and downs, the intense focus needed before big races.
That shared understanding must be invaluable.
Totally. Knowing your partner just gets it. The sacrifices, the passion, the process that provides a crucial foundation. It's more than just logistics, it's deep emotional support.
So, looking ahead, they both want to race each other again.
Definitely. There's a strong desire there. Maybe a shorter, faster race like Sierre-Zinal.
Oh, the fast mountain race in Switzerland?
Exactly. Jim mentioned wanting to try that with a proper, fresh buildup. Or maybe even line up at Western States together again. That competitive fire is still burning bright.
Even with the challenges, like Jim mentioning being more injury prone now.
He acknowledges that reality, the body changes, but he says the hunger is still there. And that really sums up their enduring passion for this, doesn't it?